Hi, I am Sheikh Mahbub Basha. Welcome to my channel. Happy learning.
Lab activity to find the relationship between angle of incidence and angle of refraction. Apparatus required. Number 1, a pro-circle or a double protractor. Number 2, a laser pointer. And number 3, a semicircular glass slab. Let us prepare a pro-circle or a double protractor on a chart paper. Take a chart paper or any A4 paper. Put the pro-circle on this paper as shown here and hold it and draw the outline till you complete the drawing. Don't disturb the double protractor. Note down the points top, bottom, left, right, that is 4 axis. You can call as 4 axis, positive x axis, negative x axis, positive y axis, negative y axis, etc. Starting from the bottom point, that is in other words from negative x axis, note down the angles for every 5 degrees. Put some dot for every 5 degrees, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 and so on like that. Then note down the numerical values. First writing 0, 10, 20, 30, 40 up to 90. Then similarly in the fourth quadrant also, starting from the bottom point up to the positive x axis, that is in the fourth quadrant, note down the points corresponding to every 5 degrees. So bottommost point will be 0 and the topmost point in the fourth quadrant will be 90. So note down 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. Then similarly note down the angles 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 like that. For every 5 degrees put a small dot or a small line with a pencil as per your convenience. Then note down the angles 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. So from the positive axis topmost point as 0 towards the positive x axis up to 90. So note down the additional points corresponding to this horizontal line and this center. Now you can remove the pro-circle, that is the double protractor. Use a scale to join the points. Draw the vertical line from topmost 0 to the bottommost 0 and the center together are joined to get a vertical line. You can call it as y axis, and similarly join the dots corresponding to 90, 90 and the midpoint to get the horizontal line. So you can call it as x axis. So the center midpoint intersecting point will be origin. Now use a scale to join from the center of the circle to the dots you have noted corresponding to various angles in the third quadrant, fourth quadrant, second quadrant. Better you join corresponding to 10, 20, 30 first, then corresponding to 5, 15, 25, 35 like that next, so that it will be convenient to avoid confusion. You can follow your own method. So now I am drawing in the first quadrant. Here we won't use the second quadrant. It is not useful in this experiment. we will be using this diagram that we are preparing in the next experiments like the critical angle, total internal reflection, etc. So, I am joining the lines from center of the circle to the corresponding 10, 20, 30 and so on angles in the first quadrant. Similarly, I join the points from center of the circle to the corresponding multiples of 10 angles in the fourth quadrant also, as you are seeing on the screen. The ready-made plastic flow circle or double refractor that I have used in the beginning is available in the market. You can buy it, but for the practice purpose, to make the students perfect, to make their own double protractor and to understand what it is, actually what it is and how it is useful. So, to make the students perfect, I am instructing to draw your own double refractor, protractor or the pro circle. They can understand what does it mean, what are various quadrants, so how the angles are noted on this double protractor, they will understand clearly. So, now I am writing 5, 10, 15, 25, 35 like that. The intermediate lines are drawn and the corresponding angles are noted. So, third quadrant is completed. Similarly, continue the same in the first and fourth quadrant also, that is from the center of the circle to the multiples of 5, 5, 15, 25, 35 and so on, lines are drawn. So, in the first quadrant from the center of the circle to the points we have noted, the lines are joined. Now, the values are noted 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85 and so on. Similarly, in the first quadrant 5, 10, 5, 15, 25, 35 and so on. So, the pro circle is ready. First, third, fourth quadrants are ready. Second quadrant is not required here. So, we are not at all using it. Now the fractions are also noted in the first quadrant. Here rough method is followed to divide for the 0 to 5 into 5 divisions. Draw 4 lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. In between 2 lines as shown here, you will get the fractions. So, in the first quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 like that, the fractions are also drawn. So, every degree can be read in the first quadrant. So, the double protractor is ready. In the third and fourth quadrants, only 5, 10, 15 and so on are there. In the first quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on, fractions are. Now, the pro circle or double protractor is ready. This is a semicircular glass slab. This one is a laser pointer. Place the semicircular glass slab with its center coinciding the center of the double protractor we have prepared on the paper. Select a particular angle of incidence. For example, here 30 degrees is selected. Use the laser pointer and project the laser light onto the center of the semicircular glass slab. Here the angle of incidence is 30 degree. So, the light enters from air into the glass and refraction takes place. The refracted ray bends towards the normal and the corresponding angle of refraction R is noted. For angle of incidence 30 degree, what is the corresponding angle of refraction R is noted. Then the same is tried for some other angle. This time let us go for some 40 degrees. So using laser light, light ray is projected at an angle 40 degree onto the center of the semicircular glass slab. The light is entering from air to glass, that means from rarer medium to denser medium, so it bends towards the normal. By observing, the angle of refraction is noted. So similarly, for angle of incidence 50 degree, the light ray is projected onto the center of the semicircular glass slab and the refracted ray is observed and the corresponding angle of refraction is noted. Like this, the experiment is repeated and the readings, observations, values are noted in the table. Okay. So this is how actually we do the experiment. Here laser light is projected onto the semicircular glass slab center with the angle of incidence 30 degree and the refracted ray is observed, the angle of refraction is 20 degree. And for angle of incidence 40 degree, here the angle of refraction is 25 degree. Angle of refraction is 25 degree. And for the angle of incidence 50 degree, so let us choose 50 degree. For the angle of incidence I equal to 50 degree, observe the track of this laser light. Here green laser light is used. So from the observation, the angle of refraction R equal to 30 degree. For I equal to 50, R equal to 30 degree. Similarly, for I equal to 60 degree, for angle of incidence I equal to 60 degree, the angle of refraction is, observe carefully, here the angle of refraction is, it is 35 degrees. So the readings are tabulated. The table has columns, serial number, angle of incidence I, angle of refraction R, sin I, sin R, then sin I by sin R. For angle of incidence I equal to 30 degree, the corresponding angle of refraction is 20 degree. And for 35 degree, I equal to 35 degree, the R value is 22 degree. For I equal to 40 degree, the R value is 25 degree. For I equal to 45 degree, R value is 28 degree. For I equal to 50 degree, R value is 30 degree. For I equal to 55 degree, R value is 33 degree. For I equal to 60 degree, R value is 35. And finally, for I equal to 65 degree, the R value is 37 degree. Now, using the logarithm tables, the sign values are noted. The sign value for all the angle of incidence and angle of refraction are noted. Sin 30 is 0.5002. Sin 35 is 0.5738. Sin 40 is 0.6430. Sin 45 is 0.70373. And sin 50 is 0.7663. Sin 55 is 0.8194. Sin 60 is 0.8662. Sin 65 is 0.9065. Similarly, for the angle of refraction R values also, sign values are noted. Sin 20 is 0.3422. Sin 22 degree is 0.3747. Sin 25 degree is 0.4228. Sin 28 degree is 0.4696. Sin 30 degree is 0.5002. Sin 33 is 0.5448. Sin 35 is 0.5738. Sin 37 is 0.6020. Then finally, using the two columns sin I and sin R, for every row the ratio of sin I and sin R is calculated and is noted in the last column. So, in the first row, that is serial number 1, 0.5002 divided by 0.3422 is 1.46. In the second row, serial number 2, 0.5738 divided by 0.3747 is 1.53. In serial number 3, 0.6430 divided by 0.4228, it is 1.52. Similarly, for serial number 4, it is 1.51, serial number 5, 1.53, serial number 6, 1.5, serial number 7, 1.51, and serial number 8, it is 1.51. Then the last column mean value is found. So, add all the values and then divide by 8. So, sum of terms by number of terms, you get the mean value, it is 1.5. So, this value sin I by sin R is nothing but the refractive index of the material of the semicircular glass slab we have used. Here the glass slab is made up, the semicircular slab is made up of glass. So, the refractive index of glass is 1.51. Okay. Here we noticed that as the I value increases, R value also increases. Angle of incidence is increased, angle of refraction is also increased. Then when sin I value is increased, sin R value also increasing. But sin I by sin R, the last column, sin I by sin R is a constant in each case. Whatever may be the I value, the corresponding R value is noted, and finally it is found that sin I by sin R is a constant. In every row, you will find that the sin I by sin R value is 1.5 or very close to this. So, we can say that this sin I by sin R is a constant. So, that sin I by sin R value is the refractive index of the material of the glass slab. So, the refractive index of glass is 1.5. Conclusion: when I value is increased, R value also increases. Next point: when sin I increases, sin R also increases. Next point: sin I by sin R is always a constant. Next point: the refractive index of glass is found to be 1.5.
Take a metal disc. You can use a protractor and mark angles along its edges, or you may use a double protractor, which is also called as circular protractor and which is also called as a procircle. Arrange two straws at the center of the disc in such a way that they can be rotated freely about the center of the disc. Now, fix any plastic or a wooden stick at the back of the disc you have prepared, so that when you see it from the back, it looks like this. Now, this arrangement can be kept on a beaker. This stick gives support to this metal disc. The stick rests on the walls of the beaker and it makes the metal disc to stay in its position. The beaker is filled with water up to a mark as shown here. That is, the 1990 horizontal line is the index up to which the water should be filled in the beaker. Exactly half of the disc should be submerged into water and half should remain in air. The bottom straw is adjusted to make an angle 10 degree. The straw at 10 degrees is inside the water. From the top of the vessel, try to see the straw which is inside the water. Then adjust the other straw which is outside the water until both straws appear to be in a single straight line. That means when you see through the straw which is in air, that is upper straw, you should be able to see the bottom straw which is actually inside the water. So you should feel that these two straws are along a straight line when viewed through upper straw. Then the disc is taken out of the water and observe the two straws on it. You will find that they are not in a single straight line. When this disc is kept in water so that the bottom straw is inside the water and the upper straw is in air, when you see through the upper straw, you felt that these two straws were straight. They are straight. They are in a straight line. But when this disc is taken out of water, you will find that they are not in a single straight line. Now measure the angle between the normal and the second straw, that is upper straw. Draw a table in your notebook and note the values. That is the angle of the bottom straw and the value of the upper straw. So you can name straw 1, straw 2. What is the angle of the straw 1 with the normal? What is the angle of straw 2 with the normal? So these values, these two angles are noted in a table. Do the same for various angles. That means select a different angle for the bottom straw, put it in water, then adjust the upper straw so that the two straws appears to be straight. Take the disc outside of water, measure the two angles and note down the values in the table. Like that, for 3, 4, 5 different angles of the bottom straw, the corresponding angles of the upper straw are noted in the table. You will observe that the angle in the water, that is the angle between the normal and the water and the straw in the water, is less, and the angle between the normal and the straw in air is more. So for the straw in water, that is in denser medium, the angle is smaller, and for the straw in air, that is in rarer medium, the angle is more. So for the straw in denser medium, the angle is smaller, and for the straw in the air, that is rarer medium, the angle is greater. Okay. From this activity, we can generalize that when the light ray travels from denser to rarer, denser medium to rarer medium, it bends away from the normal. So that is, here angle of refraction is greater than angle of incidence I. So angle of the straw in air is greater than the angle of the straw in water. I repeat, the light ray travels from denser medium to rarer medium, then it bends away from the normal. R is greater than I. Angle of refraction is greater than angle of incidence. Okay, right. Assume a case. This is beach sand, seashore, and this is sea water. Imagine that our heroine has fallen out of boat and is screaming for help in the water. Here is our hero. He is supposed to run, then swim and save our heroine. Let the position of hero is A and the position of heroine be point B. To reach the heroine, he has to run from A to B. This is one possible path which is a straight line. This may be shortest distance by geometry, but in practice, this hero has to run certain distance on this beach sand and he has to swim certain distance in the sea water. So he will have different options as the speed on land is greater when compared to the speed while swimming in water. So it will be better to prefer a path which has more distance on land and less distance through water. So he will have many options as shown here. So this may be one option, this may be one option, and this may be one more option. Among all these options, let us select an option which has least time. So least time in the sense, here we are not interested in least distance. To save the heroine, he has to select a path which has quickly, he has to reach as soon as possible. So he should select a path which will take least time. Instead of least distance, he want least time to reach the heroine. So let it be the path which has least time to reach the heroine, and at the point where this path is touching the seashore, draw a normal and let this point be C, and let us select one more path which is almost close to this shortest time path, and let this point touching the seashore, let us draw a normal for this path also to pass through the point where the path touches the seashore. So let it be point D. Now draw a normal from D onto the path E. Draw a normal from point D onto the path AC. Let the foot of the perpendicular be E. So DE is the perpendicular to the line AC. DE is perpendicular to the line AC. So if you carefully observe, AD is equal to AE. Since DE is the perpendicular, AD is equal to AE. So by comparison, we can say that if this hero prefers ACB path, he has to run an extra distance EC on the sand. So if he select the path ACB instead of ADB, so this hero has to run an extra distance EC on the sand. Similarly, draw a normal from C onto the line DB. So let this foot of the perpendicular is F. Then by comparing the two paths ACB and ADB, we can say that CB is equal to FB. CB is equal to FB. So the distance CB that is swimming in water is exactly equal to FB on the other path. So this hero, if he select ADB path, he has to swim an extra distance df, So in these two options, in these two ways, the distance he has to run on sand AE is equal to AD, and the distance he has to swim in water CB is equal to FB. So AD, AE are equal, CB and FB are equal. So the difference, the only difference is between these two paths EC and DF. In one path, he has to run an extra distance on the sand from E to C. On the other hand, in the other path, he has to swim an extra distance DF in water. Let the running speed be V1. This hero can run with a speed V1 on sand, and his swimming speed in water is V2. Hero can swim with a speed V2 in this water. Then the time taken from E to C is exactly equal to the time taken from D to F. In one path where he has to run more distance through land, EC is the extra distance, and on the other hand, in the second path, he has to swim an extra distance DF in water. So the time taken for covering EC on land should be exactly equal to the time taken to swim from D to F on water. So since speed is equal to distance by time, and the time taken from E to C is delta t, and also from time taken from D to F is delta t. So let us write distance by time EC by delta t is equal to speed V1, and similarly dF by delta t is equal to V2. Dividing these two equations, dividing the above two equations, we can write EC by DF is equal to V1 by V2. Here delta t gets cancelled when the equations are divided. So then, let the angle of incidence at point C is equal to I, and the angle of refraction at point C equal to R. And these two angles are normals 90 degrees, because DE is the perpendicular drawn onto AC, and CF is the perpendicular drawn onto DB. These two angles at E and F, the angle at E and angle at F are 90 degrees perpendiculars. Then this angle at D in the triangle ECD, the angle at D is equal to I. Then applying the sine equation, sine function sin I equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. Formula for sin I is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse. In this triangle ECD, opposite side is nothing but EC, hypotenuse is nothing but DC. Therefore, sin I is equal to EC by DC. Similarly, in the triangle DCF, the angle at C is equal to R. Therefore, applying the sine function, sin R equal to dF by DC. dF is the opposite side, DC is the hypotenuse. So sin R equal to dF by DC. Dividing these two equations, left hand side sin I by sin R, and on the right hand side, when you divide these two equations, the denominator DC gets cancelled, and we get EC by DF. So finally sin I by sin R is equal to EC by DF. Let it be equation number 2. Okay, right. Now from equation 1 and 2, we can write sin I by sin R is equal to V1 by V2. So in equation 1, LHS equal to EC by DF, and in equation 2, RHS is equal to EC by DF. Therefore, from these two equations, we can write sin I by sin R is equal to V1 by V2. Let it be equation number 3. Now, The hero has selected a path to save the heroine to reach in shortest time, and for that selected path we got sin I by sin r is equal to v1 by v2. We used the principle of least time to derive the above result. We used this principle of least time to derive the above equation sin I by sin r is equal to v1 by v2. We can apply the same for the light ray also. The above concept we have used, that is the principle of least time, we can apply the same least time principle to the light ray also. Therefore, we can write sin I by sin r is equal to v1 by v2. On the other hand, for light, v1 by v2 is equal to n2 by n1. For light rays, already we know v1 by v2 is equal to n2 by n1. Therefore, the equation 3 can be written as sin I by sin r is equal to n2 by n1. Sin I by sin r is equal to n2 by n1. On cross multiplication, we get n1 sin I is equal to n2 sin r. n1 sin I is equal to n2 sin r. This is called Snell's law. This is called Snell's law. From the above discussion, we conclude that when light travels from one medium to another, the ratio of speeds v1 by v2 is equal to n2 by n1. The light should enter at such an angle that the ratio of sine of angle I and r is equal to ratio of speeds v1 by v2 in the two media. This is denser medium of absolute refractive index n2, and this one is rarer medium of absolute refractive index n1. Incident ray, normal, angle of incidence I, refracted ray, angle of refraction, let a light ray travels from a rarer medium of absolute refractive index n1 into a denser medium of absolute refractive index n2. Then this Snell's law may be stated as n1 sin I is equal to n2 sin r. This equation is the most generalized form of Snell's law. So, we can write the following as the laws of refraction. Number 1, the incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal are in the same plane. The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal are in the same plane. And point number 2, during refraction, light follows Snell's law, which is given as n1 sin I is equal to n2 sin r, or sin I by sin r is equal to constant. Okay, right. This is about Snell's law. Here, the n1 is the refractive index of the medium where the angle of incidence I is lying, and n2 and r are from one medium, n1 and I are from one medium. So, the I angle is in medium of refractive index n1 and r angle is in medium of refractive index n2. Remember this, n1 sin I is equal to n2 sin r. I is lying in medium of refractive index n1, r is lying in medium of refractive index